We will call our meeting to order.
Move that hand, please. I don't like that hand. Put it on Darla's
No, I
nose.
know.
Yeah, put it
Yeah,
on.
great.
Okay.
Thanks, Speaker. I feel welcome back now. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming tonight. Thanks for being in the room, and great to be
And
back
how are
with
you
you all.
doing, Darla? How
I'm
are you
doing
doing?
well,
How's the
thank
knee
you.
doing?
It's coming along, slow but steady. 4 weeks out. I actually climbed the stairs today, so
All right.
but not like a toddler. Like I actually used 2 feet.
One step
So
at a time.
slow but
Right.
steady wins the race, right?
Yep.
All right, so we will call our meeting to order, which is we are at 7:01. Do we have items to add? I believe we do, correct?
Yes, we do. Add the listers errors and omissions report. There's a question about in the personnel policy, it provides for 4 hours off on December 24th, like a Christmas Eve thing. But since Christmas is on a Monday, the question that folks are asking is, does that apply to Friday? So that's a
No, we'll give them all day Sunday off.
And you have all day. We'll give them 8 hours on Sunday.
Where would you like to add those items?
4 hours.
Well, also there's let's see, grant application authorization request from the police department, and the revolving loan fund documents will need to be postponed again.
Okay. So where do we want to add that first item, the errors and omissions?
You can do everything under other business.
Without your other business.
Sure.
In the order you talked about them? Okay, you'll remind me if I get it wrong when we get there.
Oh, we will.
I depend on you for that. So that was errors and omissions grant app.
Personnel.
I'm sorry. I
Personnel
lost it.
policy.
Personnel policy. Just 3?
And the postponement was the other one.
Oh, okay. So, right. Great. All righty. All right, so we move on to public forum. Is there anyone there this evening for public forum?
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Q.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to say something about, on your agenda, I see you got this equity committee you're considering. First of all, Bristol's got only 3,800 people in it, and I don't think we are that ignorant that we need a committee to tell us how we should act. I think every one of our citizens that lives here is very courteous and responsible, and I don't believe we need this committee. It's just another situation where you're having a cure looking for a problem. We don't need to create or foster any further feelings of problems here. We don't have an issue here. It's just another committee to create a committee for whatever agenda is. I think it's a personal insult to all of us about this. And what's next after this committee starts? We're gonna have now a paid position to oversee what we are supposed to do or not do? I don't think that's a good idea. I think you guys should take a stand on this and put a stop to it before it gets out of control. We have committees, we can't even fill positions on all the committees. Energy committee, planning committee, they're all down on members. We don't need to form another one. And who's gonna be on these committees? You know? So my thoughts are what they are. And I just beg you guys to read this draft that was put in place, and you'll understand a little further about it. And take a stand for once, guys. Just learn to say no. I've said this many times to you. Learn to say no. Use your own opinion for a change. People listen to you. Most people aren't even attending the meetings, as you know. I'm it. So somebody's got to say something about this stuff, otherwise it just goes swishing right through. So think about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else have anything for public forum? All right, doesn't sound like it. So we will move on to regular business. And first up, we have the Water Commission review and approve corrections from the FY 2024 Water District budget.
Hopefully my summary in my notes was somewhat clear. Basically, the budget that was approved in June or July, June, had some errors that were discovered recently. And so this is an effort to correct those. The resulting corrections reduced the revenue value by over $6,000, so that in order to balance the revenues and expenditures, that was taken out of the capital. But it's still, the final numbers are still greater than they were from the prior year. So it's still an increase, if that makes any sense.
An increase in the capital budget.
Yep, and the whole overall budget too. There were some formulas that were not correct, and the wrong FY23 numbers were used instead.
So the 2 water bills have been gone out since July 1, when the budget was approved in June
The
meeting.
rate, the billing rate is correct. It's just the budget, the rate and the budget are 2 different things, actually. The rate influences the budget, but the budget numbers are a planning tool. But the rate is the rate, and that is accurate. That was increased by 3% as a result of that budget approval.
Okay,
So Val, does this, I know we have that financial agreement for Lawson Lane. How does that affect our bottom line here? Are we still going to be okay with that?
Yes, that was financed through the capital fund,
Right.
separate fund,
but
and that's
we just,
healthy. That's a healthy fund.
Well, that's not the capital improvements line item. That's a different line item.
Right, that's the allocation to the capital fund.
Okay.
And the minutes weren't clear, as to where that extra line comes from. That capital equipment fund. Nobody seems to remember how that materialized.
Is that for the meters?
I thought that
and
was for the meters.
Yeah, for the meters and materials as opposed to labor and improvements? Or is that the pumps and the,
Yeah, I thought we created that when we were doing the meter. We were trying to replace the meters, but I don't remember.
I don't remember now.
Because there is another line item for meters and touchpads.
Oh. Well, that,
So then
that
it's probably for the pumps and
Mhm.
rebuilding the pumps and replacing the
Generators.
pumps, the generator and all that good stuff.
But those had been considered capital expenses rather than operating expenses.
No, but to maintain them, maybe we had put that line item in there, maintain them.
but I thought we put some extra, well, until now, the notes here. First of all, it says in one of your bulletins, to have expended the balance with revenue, $6,489 difference subtracted out of the capital improvements. So that's added there now?
In this proposed budget, yes.
Okay, so remember when they proposed to us that we had the sewer thing we had to do, we have some work we had to do down to the sewer field?
Water.
I'm sorry, Peter, yeah, that's right, it's water, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
I didn't mean to be.
No,
so-
you're right. Okay, disregard that. You're right, Peter, I'm sorry.
So when looking at you have 2 documents here, Val. You have the one that's approved on June 26, 2023. That doesn't have the capital equipment fund line item, but the new one that has your new balance does. I'm a little bit confused about the 2 documents, because the dates, the one that you say is the correct numbers is from, wait, what? Yeah, so your correct numbers is a new document from 12/4, but that capital equipment fund line has been added. Where did that get added in between us approving the other document? How did that get there? Was it discussed in a meeting and added and because we didn't approve that line. It's
Good
not there.
question.
Sorry.
I think it came from the budget status report printout. It's a new line item in that budget status report.
Okay. But it wasn't approved.
Yeah, that's the question. So I would think we would just add that into the capital improvements line. Just add them together.
Into the reserve fund. I mean, Jill will know what it is because she moved some things around. But it's odd that it just appeared, and I don't remember discussing it, but maybe we did.
Have you watched the tape, Valerie, have you watched the tape of the meeting on June 22nd to see if we,
No, I reviewed the minutes, but I didn't watch the tape.
Okay,
Well, $50,000 has gotta be
right.
something that we discuss. I mean.
No, I know,
It would
Well,
have been
it's- I mean-
57.
Yeah.
but it's also looking at the numbers. We've gone from 349, 364, and we've gone down to 342. So there's not much of a difference in your numbers, Val.
No, and it's still an increase.
400.
Yeah, and it's still what, Val? Sorry.
Still an increase.
No, it's a decrease.
No,
It's
it's an overall increase still of 1% from the prior year.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yes.
Talking two different, two different numbers, two different
Right.
years.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so
Is
that
that-
capital equipment fund line, that came from the budget status report through whatever year, June 30th.
Is that an additional $50,000 or is it $50,000 that was somewhere else?
What 50,000 are you talking about?
No, she's talking a different line, but the $50,000 is in the capital improvement. She's got a capital equipment, right? Is that what you said, Val? Or is it capital equipment? Is that what that
Well,
one is?
there's,
Capital improvements reserve fund and there's
Can-
capital equipment fund.
can we bring that up, what you're looking at?
yeah,
So we all
No,
can
it's
see
not
what.
there.
let's see. Want to make sure I pull up the right one. Got different screens going.
What is the capital equipment? What are the numbers for the two?
So there you go. So it was 21,296, which is in the one that we approved.
And those are the actuals. So you can see this was the actuals.
Oh, sorry.
And then suddenly that materialized. It's like, huh. So,
Oh, I see. Sorry. Okay.
If my memory is correct, I thought, without looking at the tape, I thought we discussed starting a capital equipment fund because we're going in the next 8 to 10, 12 years, do a lot of water line replacement, and we could grab some of that money to match, a little bit of it to match. I remember having that conversation.
But that would be improvements, capital improvements.
right, the capital, the
The
capital.
equipment would be like pumps and,
Yeah, but also as Val said, the highlighted is actual.
Right,
So it's in NEMRIC as actual expenses from
capital
last
equipment.
year, from 22 to 23.
Can we tell what that $5,000 is?
that's a good question. I can't
is it-
tonight, but we can come
is
back
it-
to it.
Pump repair, or is it
Good question.
electronics? Is it something to do with the contact tank? Because it's gotta be equipment based.
It could be that whatever the thing on the wall down in the pump house.
Yeah, that,
I can't remember what the name is right now, Picker.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. This is revenues, not expenses.
No,
So this
No,
is
no,
money
no,
coming
no, the
in, right?
revenues are up here. It's just that's
River water is the revenues.
Well,
like-
no, but but I was looking
it
up
was
at
shoved
it.
up,
It
yeah.
Oh,
It
right.
said
yes.
revenues, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The top of
Got
the,
it.
Right.
the
the
top of the page
the
didn't
frozen
go.
row is a little too should be shorter.
I wish it was revenues.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be, it would be interesting to see what that was actually, what those invoices actually were that
Yeah.
generated that,
49.89.
that expense in the capital equipment fund.
Okay.
If we don't have a capital equipment fund line in the original budget. I mean, it can't just appear.
And it's odd that it's called a fund because this is an operating budget, not a reserve fund. So, yeah. I'm not,
That wasn't
Okay.
for those two, remember when the generator wasn't big enough and they had to put those, what were those called?
The
FBI,
VFDs.
VFDs?
No, because this is, I mean, it's a, I don't know how that would be created, how capital equipment fund, how that line would be created in Nemrick. We would have to know
Because
about
somebody
that.
created it, and
Right.
then they had the
It would
expense
have
and
to be
decided,
money
"Let's
that
put
we-
this in this line item."
Money that we took out, right?
that should reflect an expense.
I was gonna say, it should say capital equipment expense, not fund.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we
Somebody
can't
just
ask the
mislabeled
person.
it.
And I think we need to figure out what that money was actually spent on.
Yeah, so
that we
let's,
know.
let's do
Start
a,
there.
not now, but do a Nemrick report so we can see what that 4,900 is, and then determine whether it justifies its title or if it's just a mistake.
Mm-hmm. So we'll continue this to the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of have to, because we don't have the answers we need.
Right, okay, good.
So that discussion, Valerie, generated around the June 22nd meeting of 23
June 26th.
or 26th.
That was when we
20
approved
The budget.
the
I just
water
might go on
budget.
the library and try to find that meeting and
Yeah.
watch it, see if I can.
Yeah.
get a little-
It was June 27, 2022.
27, yeah.
2022 meeting.
No, actually, that was the prior years.
This was June 26th, 2023. We
Right.
approved.
Oh, I thought you said but you said the minutes from June 27, 2022.
Well, there's that too.
Oh, that was, okay, yeah, no.
From a year
I
ago.
finished reading that, yeah. Too many years.
I know.
Right?
Oh, God. Okay.
All right,
Everything's a blur.
to be discussed at the next meeting,
Okay,
Okay,
which is next week.
moving on. So
just
item
next
number
Monday.
So item number 2, consider the creation of a new equity committee and appointment and or advertisement for members to be on it. Is Porter with us? Yeah.
She is.
Yep, she's online.
Hello.
Porter,
You just went by her.
Oh, there she is. Good evening.
Hi.
Val, do we need some background to this, or will Porter speak to this?
I will let Porter speak to it. I did put some notes in, but Porter has some recommendations and I have some suggestions if it goes forward.
Okay.
Great. So creating an equity committee was one of the things that came out of the report from our first grant cycle with Vermont Community Foundation and was part of the grant application that we put in for this year. So it's part of this grant cycle for the second year of VCF funds. The idea was that there were some tasks that came out of that last grant cycle that that town staff might do. There were some things that the select board might do, but that the creation of an equity committee would help continue this work forward. And also there were a series of smaller tasks that they might be able to do as well. So when we were talking to Tabitha, the consultant, about this, you know, one of the things I think that would be really great is having people in the community with lived experience with marginalized populations be committee members. So I think that we should, you know, look for letters of interest and see what we get. But one of the ideas about having it be 5 people to start would be that one of the tasks of the committee might be to think about how we could generate greater interest and involvement from community members who might not have stepped up in the first round. So starting with 5 members and going to 7. When you guys originally did the first grant and then this one, the question was, you know, would I still be involved? And obviously I'm very interested in this work, but I think it would be much better if the committee was made up of as I said, you know, people who have different perspectives and experience than I do. What Tabitha had said was that, you know, and she also will be available to support us during the course of this this grant cycle. So maybe she and I be, you know, non-voting people to sort of help the committee started and create context and background, but then turn it over to the committee and let them move forward from there. So that was the idea of having a 5-person committee. Tabitha and I would be, you know, non-voting people to support them just getting started, and then they can add additional members and take it from there.
Porter, what would be the mission and the goal of this committee?
We didn't write a mission or a goal. The grant report to you had, like, I'm looking at the document here, maybe like 9 or 10 bullet points on it. And it was things like, well, they could create a mission, but the basic things that came out of the last year's work that were things that would be great to carry forward and that would be good for a committee to do were things like create, you know, messaging around all are welcome here in Bristol, which could include, you know, signage or banners in town or in store windows or homes. Support and promote minority-owned businesses. Create some type of a forum in town to invite feedback from community members about issues or experiences with inequity or discrimination, and to encourage suggestions for how to improve that. Which might include partnering with organizations like Vermont Professionals of Color, look into or begin the process of equity mapping, and it talks a little bit about what that is, promote availability of language support services, encourage diverse voices on all of our committees and boards, collaborate with other agencies to promote restorative justice opportunities in Bristol, create some type of a handout with info and resources for individuals who might experience discrimination or harm, and then explore our readiness to join one of 2 organizations in the state that support municipalities in this work. One is called EPIC, which is through the VLCT, and the other is called IDEAL, which is through the state of Vermont. We're not ready yet for that, but other towns are doing it. It'd be great if we were, but we need more engagement from the community before we can do that. Those were some of the things that would be on that list. I will say there's also, I've been approached by, you know, there's a lot of schools, the schools having some challenges around racial equity, and they are looking for more community engagement and sort of like cross-pollination and support around dealing with some challenging issues. So, you know, that might be another thing that committee members could do is, you know, help create connections among different groups and organizations in town who are wrestling with, thinking about, or dealing with issues of equity.
Okay. Are there opportunities for a committee like this outside of it being an official town committee? Is the funding that you received so far, is that directly connected with the municipality, or could you form your own committee outside of that?
So the Vermont Community Foundation grant that we've been working under so far is a municipal grant. It's to help towns. That's why the training was originally done for town employees, and for you guys. So it's a municipal grant. I'm sure there's other grants, and it's certainly possible that if the select board, you know, on the recommendation of this committee or working with this committee or on its own wants to see more of this type of work happen, I'm sure there's other grants out there. But the one that we have is specifically for the municipality. This equity committee was only one part of that grant. And the equity committee isn't a big dollar figure there. The only dollar figures in the grant would be if the committee wanted to do some things in the community, you know, like purchase signs that say all are welcome here and make available to businesses or something like that.
Right. Okay. I just was curious if you've approached other entities. You know, there are obviously a lot of nonprofit groups in Bristol already, like Bristol Core and places like that. I don't know if there is a connection there as well.
I think that might be an opportunity when, I don't know how you normally advertise when you have a committee to invite letters of interest. But I think that reaching across the business sector in town and, reaching out to the schools, I think that that's a great idea. But just to reiterate that, the original grant and the second grant were both written under the auspices of the select board wrote a declaration of inclusion. And how do we make good on that promise to our townspeople? So this is about, municipal efforts at inclusion and equity. So yeah, I mean, we want to connect with other groups, but it's a municipal effort.
Any other questions?
No, I just like to add that I think I'm all for this work. I've done this in my work life. I was approached by the two gentlemen that initially from the Rutland area that wrote that declaration of inclusion, and so I really do support it. But I do wonder about making it an actual committee, then you have to warn your meetings, you have to, there's a lot that comes along with being a town committee as well. And I wonder if the avenue that Ian was just talking about, it's not that the town wouldn't still support it in some way, shape, or form, but does it need to be an official, town committee? That comes with some, baggage as well. I'm wondering if others have.
Yeah, I mean, you tell me. I don't care what the structure is. It was just clear that if Bristol is serious about a declaration of inclusion and really putting equity work at the forefront so that we position ourselves to be in a productive place, looking at the demographics of, how things are changing in the state. And that's, is where I come from as a placemaking, right? So like, I'm really interested in Bristol being a dynamic economic, valuable town 100 years from now, because I think Bristol's the greatest town ever. And, this grant work is about supporting the town. So whether it's a committee, I don't know, you tell me, that you decide what that's going to be. But the point is not for, it's not that you guys are supporting the committee. The point is for this committee to support you. If every individual select board member had the time to do this work on their own, that'd be great. We wouldn't maybe even need this committee, although it'd be great to have community input anyway. But the point is that, this is a lot of new stuff and it can be hard and time consuming. And so the point of the committee is to help the select board further the goals that were stated.
Sure. Thanks, Porter. Jessica?
Hi, I just wanted to add my experience at the college. We've created some equity committees, and I have to say that, in the beginning, when they first met with our department, I was thinking, okay, we're the experts for my department, so what are they going to bring to the table? But actually, they were able to show us a lot of research about how we were writing job ads. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. They were able to show us how we were writing job ads in such a way that we weren't actually attracting a very diverse group of people. And so I found it really, really useful. And I think, as Porter is saying, it would just be a committee that would advise the select board. So I think it's a great idea.
Thanks, Jessica.
Ian, can you switch that so we can see everybody that's on?
Sure.
Any other questions from the board? Questions or comments?
Thank you.
How do we want to proceed here, folks?
I don't know, not that I have concerns, I do support it, but I also, knowing how our other committees do struggle to get membership, I'm concerned about that. And we're looking for specific members of the community to sort of advise us and help us with that, which is an even smaller pool. And so I'm just worried about actually filling a position or positions like that on a committee. And I do think with, and Darla is, when she's talked about have warning meetings and stuff, it does come with a lot of strings when you become an official committee, in terms of the open meeting laws and things like that. And I don't know if that hampers a committee like this. But it brings an officialness to a committee as opposed to an ad hoc committee, which can present ideas to the select board in their own way, but then it's not an official sort of recommendation or backing from the town.
Is it the intent for this to be a diverse committee? Is that what you're saying, Porter?
I think it would be great if the committee did attract, some young people, some people with different socioeconomic backgrounds, people with different mobilities, people of different races or genders. Yeah, that would be terrific. But, will we get that? I don't know. And, one of the challenges in doing equity work is recognizing that the work that needs to be done is by the people who are already privileged. But we need to hear from the voices of the people who've been marginalized or harmed. And we, at the same time, want to hear from them, but also don't want to put the work on their shoulders. It's not their job to tell us where the barriers are, and how we need to fix them. So yes, we'd love to hear from them. And as Ian said, we know that we don't have a huge amount of at least racial diversity necessarily right now in Bristol, although we have plenty of diversity and we can still, invite those voices. But I think it's valuable to say that we want to hear those voices. And that's why I think, starting with a smaller number and letting the committee figure out how to get that information from our community, so that we're addressing the needs that need to be addressed, even if those people aren't sitting at the table.
The only reason I ask is because if that's what we're after and we don't get those applicants and we put the same people that we put on all the committees we already have, we really haven't accomplished what you set out to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree. I asked that same question of Tabitha Moore, the consultant that we've been working with so far, and she said, you don't know until you try. And so she suggested that we go ahead and, get started and she said, you can't just wait to be perfect. I also have a meeting next week with a woman who's on the Shelburne Equity Committee, who's going to talk to me about, how they encouraged new and additional voices on their committee. So we'll be looking for more information there. And I think, I don't have a strong opinion about whether it's an official committee or not. I really think that's up to you. And I don't know what the optics are if you say, oh, we'll have a committee, but it's not official. Or whether that's a better thing and just say, we want to give more latitude and flexibility. I don't have an opinion on that. I don't know what's right. But I do think that we should assume that we're going to learn and grow through this process. Like that's kind of what it's all about. So however we start, recognizing that, we don't necessarily know what we don't know and things are going to unfold and we'll learn and we'll make accommodations as we go.
Yeah, I don't know how we appoint people to a committee that's not a committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my only other concern is that one of the challenges that I've had is when we first started having this conversation, I was happy to write the grant because I like doing that. And I don't mind doing any of this stuff as a volunteer. And that's the way I intend to continue doing it. But at a certain point, if I'm calling other people in the state or I'm having conversation, it's like rogue agent, volunteer neighborhood person. I think that I don't want to put other people in that position. I don't have a problem with it clearly, but I think that, for some people it is easier to say I'm on this committee and we're doing that. And so if it's not a town committee, what is it? I don't know. I mean, again, I'm open. I don't have a preconceived notion on how this should go, but I think that there is some validity, sort of value to having there be some validity there.
I guess I'd like to know if there'd be interest from the community in this.
I was thinking the same thing.
You know.
We could put it out and see what kind of
Yeah.
interest it generates and then go from there.
Yeah, as opposed to creating the committee and then trying to fill it. You know, similar to the bicycle pedestrian, which is an ad hoc committee, it was a number of people that got together to discuss issues that were important to them with regarding pedestrian and cycling access in town, and then that morphed into a real committee for the town because of the work that came out of that, and the town recognized the importance of this, and so perhaps this could go in the same way. But I mean, I guess that was different in terms of it not coming from the town, but I mean, I think we'd be happy to sort of, you know, put messaging out there to see if there is interest in this, if we could actually create a committee around people who were interested in pursuing that with us.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
sharing my screen that shows Porter's draft, which is basically an advertisement soliciting the level of interest. So I put this up in case folks want to consider that as the beginning of some kind of outreach solicitation. And maybe not define that the committee is being formed, but to identify that this is seeking the level of interest, soliciting, trying to gauge the level of interest in the community.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that would be a good start.
Yeah,
And
I
just
like
to
that
see-
idea very much.
See what comes of that.
As opposed to creating a committee and then
Yeah.
trying to fill the spots.
Yeah, because
Trying to look for the
it
problem.
is hard to fill the committees, you know.
Well, so just so I understand, if you query the community for interest and you got, 5 or more interested people, then would you want to go ahead and have a committee and have it be official? Or do you feel like there's a reason to not have it be an official committee regardless? In which case, maybe you just, so like, is the concern or the resistance that we're not sure we're going to get enough people to have a functioning committee? Or is the concern or the resistance that we don't want to have an official committee that has to follow official rules? And I'm not sure I understand what the concern is in the two scenarios. Like if we got enough people who are interested, who cares what the group is? Or does it matter what the group is?
No, I think it's mainly the interest, and the experience I've had, at least with the bicycle pedestrian, is that with the ad hoc committee, there was very good interest. The committee was formed, and then unfortunately, due to schedules and not due to people's sort of non-interest in the group, they struggled for a year to actually have meetings where they were meeting with enough people to make decisions. And so I'd like to not have that happen with any new committee that we start. And so I see that happening. If we create a committee this evening, because we believe in this and we think it's a good thing to do, I just don't want a committee to struggle like that.
Yeah.
We appoint people that aren't gonna be able to show up.
Yeah, it's hard with any kind of committee. I'm the liaison for the library, and the library has had turnover in their trustees. And when you have turnover, it gets difficult for boards to actually function, because if half of your board is new and they don't know what's going on, they're looking for someone to advise them. And that's what I've been doing, to the best of my knowledge, to help them. And I've done it with other committees. And so I just don't want to see that happen again and again with the committees that we create. I'd love to see the interest there.
Let me ask a question. If this is not an official committee, it's an ad hoc committee, but they have grant funds, how does that work?
I think it has to be an official committee if we end up doing it. I just wanna know that, like Ian says, I wanna know that the interest is there and that it's diverse. It's not the same 5 people that are doing everything else. I mean, that's my biggest concern, is if you get it goes to what Jimmy says. If you get the same 5 people that are doing it, then you've got the people that are already involved and already doing what they should be doing anyway.
Or hopefully.
I would like to see a more diverse, a more diverse, and that's why I asked the question, Porter, was to see if we were looking for the same group of people that have been doing the work, or if we're looking for a more diverse group, so that we've got input that you know, because my opinion of Bristol is the same as yours, Porter. I feel that it's a really great place to be. I feel that people are decent to people. And so what am I missing?
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's one of the reasons why I said, like, let's start with a smaller number and let the committee have one of their jobs be, how do we add voices that have a different perspective? You know, that'd be one of their first tasks, is to figure out how to get more voices involved. And frankly, you know, get those voices on not just this committee, but change the usual suspects on all our committees and get voices. And Jim, I'm sorry I didn't hear your comments. I think I logged in when you might have been talking because I was a few minutes late. So I'm sorry I missed that. But yeah, I mean, I agree, Peker. It'd be great to get different perspectives, which is why I think having a smaller group and let them figure out how to grow with more diverse voices, and why, as much as I'm, you know, excited about and interested in this work, you know, I don't want to be in charge necessarily of this group. I would like to let the committee take, you know, show them where we've come from and how we got here, and then let them take us where we need to go.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure, Jim.
What are the legal ramifications for this? You form a committee, the town sanctions it, an incident occurs, it's a very delicate subject, that water, as you know. An incident occurs, is the town now liable because nobody took the proper action?
Everybody in?
I think you're stepping into a bad area here. I think you better get some legal counsel on it, yeah, for sure. As you know, the way people are today, the slightest thing, somebody wants to create an incident,
Yeah.
it's a problem. And we don't want to be responsible for it.
I mean, I like what Jessica said about if we can make our ads for hiring purposes, I mean, are
More inclusive.
more inclusive.
Right.
You know, that we don't see that. And, you know, that's what Valerie and our department heads need to see. And they are taking that training now. You know, that's what I like. I go with what Jimmy was saying earlier, but what you put up the statement back in from June of 2021 there, Ian, if you could, or Valerie, I still believe in that statement where we passed in June of 2021,
The inclusion?
the inclusion statement. I agree.
It's on that letter,
wholeheartedly.
Valerie.
I agree, and I don't know if I'd like to see that more out there in public notice, maybe on, you know, water bills go out or tax bills go out. It's kind of like if you've been to a lot of ball games this year, they read it at every ball game now, the athletic director does, about fair and equity and this and that the VPA has passed. And they read it at every single game. And as being a school bus driver that takes kids to basketball and soccer and field hockey games and all them, I can go it verb by verb now. And but I believe in it. And I believe in that statement right there wholeheartedly. And I'm not sure I need a committee I would hope the whole town would, and I believe they do, believe in that statement. And I'd like to see it more out there, but I'm not sure if a committee is going to elaborate on that any more than what we've elaborated there.
I think the goal of the committee, Joel, would be to put this into action. So these are just words, and I think it's you know, it's a good starting place. But the action is more making sure that this is actually not just the words, but the vibe in the town. And I think to Peker's point, you know, you don't necessarily know what you don't know until you hear from somebody who's in different shoes. And sometimes that can happen by having different people on the committee and bringing those diverse voices. But even if we don't get, you know, people who have different identities on the committee, if we have a committee of people who are looking for ways to turn this idea, this concept, these words into action, there's a lot of steps that can be taken, so that when somebody comes here as a tourist to come to one of our events, or to go to a restaurant, or to go shopping, or if somebody's living here in town or coming to a sporting event here in town, that they genuinely feel safe and welcome and respected. And unfortunately, we know that's not always the case. And so there's still room for growth.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
think it's-
we've all read on the Front Porch Forum that, I guess it's at the grade school and at the high school too, that, parents, it's that generation that we need to also get to. And I think the schools are trying their best with everything else, is trying to do that. I give the story, my neighbor, as you all know, Gary Russell, teaches at South Burlington, and when they changed from the Rebels to the Wolves, they asked him to serve on the committee. And his first comment to them was, "I wonder why you're asking me that. Is it because I'm a 6'5" black male here at the school? I'm the only one." And that's what, Gary felt like, he said, it was because they asked him because they wanted that swing vote, so to speak. And I won't put words in his mouth, but so what's this committee going to be like? Yeah, we need to see all aspects. I don't want it to see 5 60-year-old, 70-year-old white guys on it or any, I want to see a diverse committee if we're going to have one, and what it's going to be. Maybe I overstepped what I just said, but that's what I feel. I don't want to see a committee just to say, well, I'm on it just because I'm on it.
Well, I think it'll be important to see who steps up and says they are interested. I don't know how many of you have seen the banner that's now outside the Federated Church, but they are now an open and accepting church, which means that they welcome all people from all walks. So they, as an entity in our town, have gone out of their way to find that sort of accreditation, if you will, and making that very public. So I don't think it's something that's not on the mind of our citizens. And I think one other thing that this group can do, Joel, to what you were just saying, is create an avenue for people who may be from a different walk of life, who can come, with a committee like this. That might be their way of serving the community, or at least talking about their experience within the community.
Okay, well, I think we have a way forward. I think we want to put out the messaging and to see what kind of response we get. And I know it's going to be difficult because we're looking for people who normally wouldn't respond to these kind of things, or might shy away from that, or who would prefer not to be involved because of various reasons.
They don't want to be in the spotlight.
Right, exactly. So it's, but it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the fact that the town is thinking about this, and we've been doing the training, and we've signed this declaration. We're moving at a slow pace, but I think this is moving us towards a better place.
Mm-hmm.
I think posting it to Front Porch Forum and possibly Addison Independent is one avenue, but I think, like you said, not everybody's going to see it or be motivated to respond to an ad like that. I think we might get more response by direct interaction, people or spread the word that way more directly, face to face with people.
Porter, are you just out of curiosity, I know, usually we look for adults to be on these committees. What about kids in the school?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, Michelle. In fact, one of the things I was going to suggest is that we ask Taylor to see if there's any, youth that she's been interacting with at the hub. She just posted a thing recently, I think today, saying that, they're encouraging young people to take positions on boards and whatnot. So she may have some ideas. Also, I was just at a meeting today with the school because of the incident that you mentioned that was recently brought up on Front Porch Forum, and they're anticipating a very large turnout at the upcoming school board meeting. And one of the things that they want to do is give the people who come to that ideas about things that they can do in the community to take action. And so, we could give this information or put a link to this somewhere on that, so that when they hand something out to all the people who go to that meeting saying, here's 5 things you can do in the community, Bristol residents will know, oh, there's a committee being formed to talk about how to make Bristol, be a place where these types of, hate actions don't occur. So we could do that.
So that also begs the question, if we let it out to the school, we keep saying Bristol residents and the school is a five town. Are we gonna limit to Bristol, or are we going, if we
Yeah.
get
This is Bristol.
somebody?
Nope, this is Bristol. I mean, we can tell people at a school board meeting, but this is a Bristol committee. I asked the question, would there be a member of the select board on this committee, or a member of a town employee? Like, what would be our like connection liaison?
I think Darla would be a great one since she has experience of our talking select board member.
I would be happy to, as long as I'm on the select board.
Mhm.
And in terms of a municipal employee, I think somebody from, if we go in this direction, I think somebody from the rec department would be an excellent representative, largely because of the population that they serve and all the different programming that they create, that they could implement and pass along a lot of this information and experience.
I think that's a great idea.
Let's move forward with the ad and see what we get. I don't think we're gonna,
Yeah.
I think we're pretty much all on the same page, and until we know what we've got, if we get the interest we need, then we
Yeah.
can move forward. If we don't, then we'll have to figure out another way.
So is
Okay, we need-
so placing that ad, is that something Valerie would do, or is that something Porter, you feel comfortable doing?
I think I should do it.
Yeah, it's gotta, if it's something that, if it's a committee that we're gonna start, it needs to come from us, not from Porter.
Great. Thank you, Porter. Thank you for your work on this.
Thanks, Porter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, number 3. Consider a quote from Norwich EV for installation of 2 level EV chargers for the Vermont EV Chargers Grant application, and authorize Richard Boots to submit the application. And Richard is there, correct?
Yes, he is.
Come on up, Richard.
He's joining us at the
I
table
am
as we
here.
speak.
Great.
I think, Valerie, could you put up the Norwich quote, please?
Yep. Give me a moment.
So while Valerie's getting this up, I don't remember when we first approached you, or when this was first discussed, but it's been a while. And some false starts trying to get funding for EV chargers. And finally, this program came out, the Vermont Community EV Charger Program, that pays 95% of the cost. Incredible grant. To entities like Bristol. And so we got authorization to apply, make the pre-application, and we were approved for the pre-application. And now we're at the point where we need to essentially submit a quote. And if that's approved, then we can go ahead with the project. And the project is, at this point, based on the last meeting that I attended, we would, as you can see up there on the screen where the yellow square is, install 2 70 amp level 2 EV chargers. Now, why level 2 instead of, as some people have suggested, the really fast charging level 3s? And the reason for that is we don't have the electric power for the level 3s. Second, kind of minor region is the fact that the level 3s are, even with the grant, going to be very, very expensive. Norwich Energy estimates between $600,000 and $750,000 to put in a bank of level 3s. They need 3-phase power, which we have, but we don't have the amperage capacity.
When you say, Richard, excuse me,
Go ahead.
when you say we don't have it, I mean, Green Mountain Power doesn't have it at that
Green Mountain
location.
Power doesn't have it yet.
That location,
Yeah,
okay.
and of course, this has been developing in conjunction with Green Mountain Power. So, let me just hand you this, this rate sheet.
Will I have that, Richard?
Yeah, that's the second document that I sent today.
Okay.
And we'll go back to that other one in a minute. So on the rate sheet, just to start out, you see the turnkey cost is $45,000 if we were to contract independently with Norwich Solar to facilitate this project. The 95% subsidy from the community charger program would amount to $42,000 plus, which would leave $2,257. There's a $1,500 GMP rebate that would be applied. And so we're down to $757, but there's an activation cost. And so essentially for $45,000 worth of a project, it would cost the town of Bristol approximately $850. The annual fee at $250 a port to maintain the electronic capacity and what am I
That's a
trying to say?
subscription fee, right?
The subscription fee, yeah. What that does is it keeps us connected to, I think it's an amp up, is it? Or is it, yeah. Which gets us out on the, out on the world that we're here and people can come and use their charge cards. Naturally, the fee that we would charge, the per kilowatt hour fee, would be structured so that it would end up not costing the town anything. And you could determine if you wanted to make a bit of a profit to cover, maybe to set a contingency fund or something like that. So that's kind of where we are now. And I've gotten some emails that I want to kind of throw out to you. Dave Sharp contacted me and he asked, why aren't we doing 4 level 3 chargers? And the answer to that is at least adjacent to the business district, there's no place where we could access that power. Not to mention probably 4 contiguous parking spaces. If one thing that I would suggest we consider in the future, or maybe even with another grant, would be have you consider a park and ride location, say at the high school parking lot. Because that's where the fast chargers tend to be installed right now. And they're much more apt to be funded. And so maybe as a separate project, putting in fast chargers in a park and ride, which I think Bristol could benefit from, might be another possibility. The other thing is, was also suggested by another person, Chris Parley, do we have to put this out for bid because we're spending $45,000?
That's gonna be one of my questions.
Yeah, and that's my question to you.
You need the bid for the grant, right? You need this bid
Yeah,
for
I
the
need this
grant.
for the grant.
Does that mean you actually have to go with that person, or they just need to know what the numbers are?
You're right.
I mean,
Yeah.
afterwards, we could put it out to bid if we get the grant. We don't have to
Yep.
necessarily go with this.
Yep.
I mean, I know you said it's hard to get.
It's very awkward. This, I have to say, this is an awkward process. It seems to me like the timing of this program really didn't allow communities to put it out to bid, to get multiple quotes in order to keep things moving forward. But if we have the numbers now from this company that provided them, it would not be fair to put it out to bid with those numbers disclosed, because that would it just wouldn't be fair. So it's awkward. Richard did say in an earlier email that they're all busy and it's difficult to get the companies to put a bid together, and that it might be that this was the only one we could get. The Bristol's procurement policy does allow for sole sourcing and not putting something out to bid, especially for certain types of professional services. But it is a little different.
I'm working on a similar thing for my church in South Burlington, and we had one heck of a time getting contractors to provide us with a bid. We finally got Cummins, but just everybody is out straight right now because this thing came up so fast, and as Valerie said, there wasn't a lot of lead time. But I think the notion that the other thing is the money's going to run out, and so if we delay, we may end up with the grant not being available to us. So I think maybe using this bid to get in the queue now and get the funding. Does it make a difference that we're not spending $45,000? We're spending under $1,000.
Right. And that 1,000 is covered by ARPA. You know, that's one of that was in the top 20, if not in the top 10, to have vehicle charging in the town. And so it's not even taxpayers' money that would be paying for it.
It is taxpayers' money.
Well, yeah.
Don't say it's not, any government money is.
From this pocket to the other pocket.
I paid my federal taxes in April.
You know what I mean.
I know exactly what
Yeah,
you're
you
talking
mean.
But I mean, it helps. I mean, by having those funds, and you know, this is, I think what we put aside, and it was just on my part, just sort of a guesstimate, was much higher than this. You know, it was the full amount because this grant program hadn't sort of come to fruition yet.
You know, Ian, I know you and I had talked about this in location, so there's no way we can put these on the backside of the park.
Well, that was gonna be my question, because
That
we
was a
have,
question I had
we
as
have a
well.
policy that says no new structures on the park. And I just,
Well, we've already agreed
Yeah.
to put the charges there.
Well,
That was
no, we have.
no, we haven't.
Yes, we have. It was discussed in meetings before when we applied for grants.
It was
I'd like-
discussed, but it was never,
This is what it looks like.
we never voted to put it there.
The car doesn't come with it, but.
No.
Okay.
I would, if we
I'm
go
pretty
on,
sure we did, because we applied twice through the Energy Committee, 2018 and 2019.
See, when you and I first talked about it, we were talking way down by the church.
And we discussed that. It's in all the meetings. I looked
Yeah.
at the videos. You know, we had that discussion. We moved it to here just because we were concerned about the ability to actually put it there because of the trees. Now, I'm championing this, but I'm not set on this location. If we can
Well,
find a
that's-
better location, I'm
I
all for it.
don't know that we can find a better location.
it's-
I don't really like
What is
the
it
idea
in
of it
front?
right there.
what about as we look at those first 4 cars or 3 cars lined up there? Yeah, right there. If it was up there, you know, when they're not parked there, they'd be, you know, that is, when the car's parked there and you come around the corner, it's pretty tight right there. Not real tight, but, you know, there's a handicap spot that we'd leave there,
You
which
know that's mostly our employees that are parked there.
Parking,
I'll bet
yeah.
you 3 of
Oh,
those
yeah.
4 cars are our
Oh, yeah.
employees.
Okay.
I'm that
Cause we
one.
don't want them parked in front of the offices.
No.
No, I mean, we've
That's
gone
me.
through it, and, you know, we talked about on the backside of the park, but we felt it was too close to the park. This at least gives us green space area that sort of, you know, differentiates us from the park. We talked about having it at the west side, having it over there, but we were concerned about potential church parking on Main Street or on West Street there. But, you know, there are opportunities maybe here, but again, it's like been bermed up as sort of protection for the playground. I don't know, Chris in his email, you know, he says he has serious concerns about the location. It'll be installed in one of the most beautiful spots in our town. There are plenty of other options for this project that won't pollute the scenery, but I don't know. He's
What
unable
about
to
the
attend
two-
tonight. I'm not sure what those options are, and I'd love to hear them.
What about there's two, and then there's 3 spots between covers and the light on the north side.
We don't.
We had a
own that.
discussion about that.
There are two.
Right, but I
What if
think
it's handicap?
One is an accessible spot and one is a single parking spot, and so this project would require 2, so we'd have to, and we can't take away the accessible spot.
Well, we can move it, but
we could move
But
it.
there's not really, The idea is that we're trying to get them as close as possible to the intersection.
Porter put in a comment, I don't
Oh.
see, but.
Sally
Yeah,
Ross.
there are a couple
Uh-oh.
of comments online.
What are the comments?
Is there insurance possible if there's vandalism? Is one. And then do we know how many miles per hour can these slow chargers produce? Is it worthwhile for visitors, shoppers, and restaurant diners?
It takes 8 hours to fully charge it is what, if you're down low,
level
from
two.
what I've read.
You get about between 40 and 50 miles per hour of charge, you know.
Yeah, it's,
So this is not gonna be for
Porter asked
somebody
about what I
coming,
could put behind
a
the
tourist
community.
coming through and wanting to charge up their car.
yeah.
Well, it makes them stay in town a little longer.
Well, we
Right.
did talk about that, yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, the square could be moved, it's only a matter of trenching to move the square up and down along the park, or I suppose even through the park, you'd have to tear the park up to run it across.
Right.
It would be much more difficult to put it down on the other side of the traffic light, because then you're going under the road.
Well, there's 3 phases I
On the
believe on
other
Main
side.
Street.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well,
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
yeah.
And then
Richard,
now-
did you say if that pole is an existing pole or would that be a new pole?
It's an existing pole.
Okay, so that's a
Yeah.
factor.
Yep.
and that would be in the green space between the sidewalk and the curb.
The
Correct.
charger would be, yes.
But is there
Yeah.
something else on the other side of the
No.
sidewalk? Oh, for some reason
No,
I
the
thought,
problem, the other problem is they pile snow there in the winter, it's gonna be,
Right.
whereas in the backside, they clean it out. I don't like that location.
Okay.
I mean, I don't like that location simply because of the aesthetics.
Do you wanna get us, we could have Norwich give us an idea of what it would take to go on the other side of the park?
They need 3-phase.
yes. it
Yeah,
needs
they
to
do.
be. I think that's what.
I don't think
probably
3-phase
had when we
goes
were
up
trying to
North
figure
Street.
out
I know it comes to,
It's
it's right
It's
here.
at Howden,
And it's
3-phase.
Yeah, it's on month 11.
Yeah, it's right here.
Richard, who are you looking to be using these charging stations? You just said, wouldn't it be good for a tourist to take 8 hours?
I think more local people, for example,
So we should do all this for somebody local that doesn't want to spend the money to put a charging station at their own house.
no, to give you an example, there are a lot of plug-in EVs that have about a 30-mile range. So if you're coming from somewhere out a little bit farther, for example, I'm 30 miles from my church. If I got a plug-in EV, it'd be great because I'd run out of charge about the time I get to church. I could charge up while I'm at church and then come back on electric. The whole reason for this is to reduce our dependence on fossil fuel and lower our carbon footprint, which is the reason behind all of this stuff. So it would be people who wanna, I have range anxiety. I will probably never buy a fully electric car, but I do plan to buy a plug-in hybrid. And that would enable me to run, if I had it at my church, for example, to do most of what I do, either going to Middlebury and back, which I could do on one charge, or go up to church and back, or Burlington on one charge, or on 2 charges. So it's that kind of thinking. Also, I think it's a signal that Bristol is entering the 21st century, that we have these things.
Well, it's also too, we're in an area looking at when you look at the chargers that are around, there's this dead spot
Yeah.
right where we are.
Yeah.
Other towns, including Heinsberg and Starksburg, have this infrastructure. They got grants that we didn't, and there's still this dead area. And we've been trying to do this for a long time,
Yeah, quite a
since
while.
2018.
Yeah.
I do think tourists would use it. I think with the the normal ones, I think, are 30 amps or 30, you know, versus the 70. So it's definitely quicker.
Mhm.
You know, so if you came into town visiting from another town and you're a tourist, I think, I mean, these are available, you plug in, and you may not get as much range as the level 3, but you would get some, and the idea is that you're spending more time in town. You know, the location isn't as important because most people who have electric car or plug-in hybrid will know where chargers are. It'll be advertised, your car is gonna tell you your app on your phone. So it doesn't have to be there, you know, that was where we landed on in 2019, when we did the second grant that we didn't get, that was the location.
But I do
But
think it has to be close to downtown.
Yes.
If the idea is.
it can't be
that
at the
they're gonna
school
shop.
unless we have the park and ride system. The idea is that it's
That's a
somewhat
different-
visible.
Different project.
Yeah, Porter asked about the community bank, again, it's private property, we looked there, they had concerns about using parking spaces behind that area. They also had concerns with snow and things like that, and liabilities if it's a town charger,
On private property.
and something happened, are they liable, is the town liable, things like that.
Now, Richard, what is the life expectancy of these? And is there maintenance on it? And
There's maintenance on everything.
so who covers that cost? Is that a town cost?
I would assume it would be a town cost, yeah.
Because it's ironically, I read the Brandon Reporter 2 weeks ago, and it was on the select board meeting, they were putting in some electric chargers, and they have a small fee they charge. You can, up to 75 cents per kilowatt.
Right,
or
which is
per hour.
what we would do.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what we would do.
We would add that in.
And so it would go and cover those
Be a
maintenance.
contingency fund for
Yeah,
that purpose.
and then,
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and hopefully it's pretty minimal, hopefully you're not backing into it, you know, 2 weeks after it's been installed.
Well, I think wherever it's
hopefully-
put, it needs to be protected.
Yes,
I mean, the location doesn't necessarily gonna prevent you from applying for the grant.
no,
I mean, unless it's gonna be a huge, more cost to put it somewhere else.
it might be a little bit more if you're trenching, or if you're asking Green Mountain Power to run. You know, we talked about the other end of the park, and that was essentially running from Howden across and strengthening the lines that they have there. But I don't know, it gets tight on the other side of the park, just because of the diagonal, just because of the size of cars nowadays. I mean, do you put that on the other side, like at the map, do you do it directly across where it's sort of
Well,
more
the size
open?
of vehicles shouldn't be an issue, because most of the electric vehicles
That's
are
true.
smaller than the.
Unless you got your F-150
Yeah.
and your
Come on,
Cybertruck.
the trucks are now
They're not
electronic.
lightning in.
Yeah, but you're right, I don't think we have to make a decision about the location. We obviously want to be, if we do get this and they say, here's the money, we're gonna need to figure out where to put it.
Absolutely.
And maybe Chris has some ideas that we haven't thought of, you know,
Yeah.
you know, we've been thinking about this for years and years, but there aren't a lot of great areas, especially on town owned.
property, yeah.
And then most of the private property owners we've spoken to just had concerns, you know.
Mhm.
The
I just-
Wells have been very supportive, they were looking at doing level 3s potentially, where the old Mountain Greens used to be in that property. And again, it's like the cost, that's the main thing that's been the roadblock. And level 3 is much more involved, it's a lot of infrastructure, the units are bigger, you're sitting on a concrete pad, you definitely don't want that right in front of the
Sure.
bandstand.
Yeah.
This was like, you know, when I presented
least
in
the
20
Least intrusive.
Yes, in 2019, it was like fairly slimline models, and they're even nicer looking now, but it's still a bunch of things that are
Valerie-
sitting out there.
Valerie, could you at least, you can't with that map, shows that, we can't see the, over down by covers,
No,
No.
not.
because there's 3 there now, or 2.
Two.
You know, we all know that when you park, the cars are parked there, and
They're longer, it's.
well, what if those were, because when you come out of the Shaw's parking area on the Main Street, it's kind
By the covers?
of by covers. What if we looked into putting 2 there between the green belt, not out on?
Is there a power pole?
No,
That I don't know. I don't believe so.
Yeah.
But there's a huge
Because the
transfer.
power comes back up the backside, it's under, we
Right.
buried it all on the backside.
I guess my
There's no
point is,
power
what
there.
if there's two parallel parking instead of diagonal along there?
You couldn't fit two right there.
Not enough space. The
Not
the
enough
other
space.
issue with that was you can't put it in the green space because you're going across the sidewalk.
Right.
There
There's no
there
green
isn't.
space.
No, I wasn't gonna, no, put it just
No,
like,
there's no green space there. The
Yeah.
sidewalk runs
It's all
right.
sidewalk, right
It's
up,
got that-
right up to the
well, it's
curb.
got that brick.
Yeah.
Which is, what is brick or grass? We're putting it between the curb and the sidewalk on the park.
It's
And a
wide,
2 foot.
lot wider. It's almost 4 foot there, I think.
Yeah,
Probably, I don't think it's
I
four.
know,
it's grass. I mean, it's area. It does fit, but you're right. I mean, I do like that location. If we can make it work there.
Because when you
definitely
come out of
understand
that parking lot, coming out of the Shaw's, you would see there's not two cars parallel. I just would like to see that at least looked at.
Sure. I mean, I think that's.
And I
fine.
think Pamela would talk with us about, I don't want the, over on the green space, I get that part of it. And the
Right.
cord coming across, and then the
Right.
sidewalk plow comes down through.
Oh, so are you thinking on Harmelo property then?
Put them in,
no,
no,
be in the.
right off the end of the curb
Okay.
on Main Street, right there.
Showing this
Oh,
picture so
sorry.
he can
Has there
point.
been any
So he
discussion?
can point
Sorry.
where he's done.
So you're talking here.
Right in there, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty wide there. That's about a 9 foot wide sidewalk. If they were right up along the curb there, two of them.
I see. Okay. I mean, you'd lose your accessible spot. Where are you putting that? Are you moving that? Are you moving it?
That could go down there.
There's a handicap accessible spot in there.
There's
Yeah.
one.
Is it? I think it's here, right?
No.
Or it's-
No,
it's-
but it's not
down.
here.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Yeah,
there.
it's here.
It is.
There's one
Okay.
here, yeah.
I
The
think there
idea,
was
the
one on the
idea
other
when
side.
If you-
this was redesigned was that it was
if you-
nearest all
Right, but
the,
if you put it here, and if
yes,
it's not filled very often, then it doesn't leave
That's
a
true.
blind spot when
Yeah.
the car's coming up.
Okay, so those of us online can't see where you're pointing to.
sorry, yes.
You know.
That's
Sorry.
okay, just,
It's a
Just
map
stay in
of
the loop.
Bristol.
oh, really?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, we could definitely look at that. I'd love to find a spot that we all agreed on, but I think it's gonna be difficult. And when we can speak to Chris, if he does have other ideas, I'd love to hear him.
And
But I don't think it stops us from putting forward that quote. I guess we have to decide whether we accept that quote. I feel that because it's grant money, I think we're fine with accepting that, especially if it moves us forward. You know, if we lose the opportunity again, then I think it would.
Get another one.
Well, you might get another one, and also it falls back in the ARPA funds. Are we then using 45,000 of ARPA funds to do this versus 1,000?
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
it seems like a great use of the ARPA funds, considering it's such a small amount.
Yeah,
There we
she
go.
there you go,
Thanks.
Valerie, thank you.
Oh, neat.
So, yeah, we were talking about this area here. And
Where?
whether we can put some.
They can't see your map.
Right now, there we go, thanks, Tom.
Right
No,
now,
no,
That's
keep
the-
going, keep going.
Keep
To the
going
left,
west.
west. No,
West of-
there we go, there.
So
Right
those
in the-
spaces, okay, that's what I
Those two
thought you were
spaces.
talking about.
Sorry. Yes, so there. And I don't know how much non-parking area is needed in terms of the striped areas, whether we can put infrastructure there.
Well, you'd have to be careful with
I
the
wouldn't
plowing
know.
on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
put it out there.
That's the thing. We're so limited with our space because of snow,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
And around the park, I mean, Chris is right. It is a beauty spot there, and to have these things right in front is not the best idea. I definitely support around the back if we could figure out how to do that comfortably. I know that it might affect businesses' parking spots. We have Bristol Park Dental right there.
Right.
But I mean, there are a number of spaces. I feel that we should be able to, if we're just using 2 spaces for 2 level 2 charges, we should be able to find 2 spaces around our park, which has, I mean, there's this number of spaces here is like 48 spaces or 38 spaces. That's just on that
People
side.
going to the gym could really park out in front of the park if they're going to
well,
the gym.
if I'm gonna exercise, I don't wanna walk.
But when are you gonna start doing that? Come on.
So there
Well,
is
walk
one
or
other
exercise.
comment, there is one other comment online, so just
Yeah.
from Sally Roth, that just says, this is not a new concept. My husband bought his first fully electric car in 2016. Healthy Living in Burlington has many charging bays and I have never seen a problem. Bristol really must go ahead with this and there is funding available. So just
Sure.
wanted to make sure that that was heard.
No,
I mean,
we're not thinking of not
No,
going
we're
forward.
not, we're not
This is
denying
better.
that there's a problem, we're denying that the town unfortunately has very limited areas to put these
Right.
things. It's
That,
very,
that are convenient for the downtown.
Yeah.
I was thinking
It's-
those
it's
two,
very easy
where
to
that
say-
white van is, or where that white truck, those first two right
Yeah.
there.
it's
Even
very
there.
easy to say, just do 2 parking spots, but there's a lot connected with that. And I've been involved with this since 2018, and so I really wanna see this happen. There's no doubt about that, but
Right.
it
And
is trying
including
to
in
find,
that intersection, there's stormwater, there's all kinds of stuff.
You know, it's the same thing with saying, let's put in
We
bus,
just
let's
run
put
that-
in bus shelters. It's just, there's a lot involved. You think it's easy, but then you get into the weeds and you're like, oh, wait.
We can just run the wires up the storm drain and bring them out in a trailer.
There you go.
I mean,
Perfect.
that was essentially the town lamp post. They were just in water, you know.
You're a problem solver, Beaker.
Yeah. Okay, so continuing back to this.
Yeah.
We have a quote, we've got our 45, which we can submit. What's the deadline for this?
There's no deadline, it's rolling.
Oh, until it runs, until the money
Until
runs
the money
out.
runs
Got it.
out.
So the
Okay.
sooner you get in, the better.
Yeah, okay,
Get in.
So I think we're all agreed that we wanted to turn it
We'll
in.
find a location.
okay. Well, I would make a motion to accept this bid and to allow Richard to continue to apply for this grant in the hopes that we would actually get it this time.
I can't support the first wording of that. I can't support the bid.
Okay,
I can support applying for the grant. up to
Using the
50
bid.
Using the bid
oh,
document.
yes, sorry,
But
yes.
we may change and wanna go out to bid.
Right, and Norwich, their understanding is that they're supplying this bid, there's no expectation that we
No.
would hire them, okay,
No.
that's fine,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
In fact, if you want, we should maybe start that, seeing if there's anybody else available
Yes.
to give us a quote.
I would like to do
Yeah,
that.
okay.
The
Well,
problem
Valerie
is
had
this-
concerns
this
because the
number's
numbers were
been-
already.
I know.
No, that's true.
But you don't have to give that to them.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
public document.
Yeah,
It's
but are
just
they
to
gonna
look
go
it up.
looking for it?
Right.
If they're smart.
Yeah, okay,
Just saying.
all right, so I made the
Well,
motion,
we don't have to, I mean, someone comes in at 44.9,
yeah.
I'm gonna read between the lines and go,
Yeah, carbon copy.
I'll
So
second.
we have a motion and a second. All
Did somebody second?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
Michelle,
Michelle,
right, so all those in favor?
aye.
aye.
All right,
So
thank
this
you,
has gone on, do you want me to give you 2 minutes of the MERP application? Municipal,
Yes, that'd be great, that's
Okay.
okay.
Please,
It's
please.
2 minutes.
2 minutes and it will be.
I'm gonna go put you on a timer.
Okay, well, don't take my time.
go.
Okay, we have been approved and we're going to be assessed. The assessment of our 3 buildings will occur on December 20th. And so it's about a 3-hour process for each building, blower door, the whole business. And their goal is to see what weatherization and possibly change out of heating, cooling devices would make sense for those 3 buildings. Once that's finished, and I've been in contact with the company, the engineers are gonna do it. And this is also evolving. They're learning as they go about what's happening. Once it happens, sometime in the spring, we will get a full report with cost estimates for each building. At that point, or sooner if we want, we could line up some contractors to see if they could produce the work for that amount of money. And so I suppose the question is, and I might know more after the 20th, do we want to see if we could get a couple of contractors who would be interested in participating in this project on an ongoing basis, rather than waiting until we get the estimates and then trying to find contractors who are probably already busy with other projects. So at any rate, I think it's good. I'm very
What are
encouraged
the
by
3
it.
buildings you're doing?
We're doing Holly Hall, the library, and Howden Hall.
This one, all again.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we've done work down here, so it's fairly up to date. It's more upstairs, and again, with ARPA
He
funding.
didn't put the blower door on his own.
Right, see if it's
I've been
famished
involved
out.
with
Yeah,
it.
so there's that, and looking whether if there is potential to actually do cooling upstairs, that was again one of the ARPA things.
We had one done at our bank, and it didn't pass at all.
Okay, so that's where we are. I'll keep you informed.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
But before Richard leaves and we move off that topic, I just have two thoughts to put out there. With the budget in the grant application, we need to be sure to include a contingency if there isn't already a line item there for it, but we should make one and make sure that there's a buffer in case, you know, whether it's other bidders or changing the location changes some of the cost projections and those kinds of things. So a buffer there. And then regarding the level 3 at a park and ride, I think a park and ride is a great idea. I've been pondering this for quite some time and I cannot figure out a good location for one, and one that has power also, because you'd want it to be lighted if possible. And if we ever did have a location for a park and ride, it would seem to me like a level 3 is not the best location there because people are going to have their cars there all day. So they can stay there all day. So it doesn't have to be a level 3 charger. So
Maybe a few level 3s and,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah.
Okay,
so anyway, those are my two thoughts.
okay, that's great, Val, thank you.
It'd be like the mall, we'll have a whole string of them.
All right, thank you, Richard.
Okay.
Appreciate your work on this.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to number 4. Preliminary budget formation, process, goals, and schedule.
Yeah, well, I spent most of today working on budget stuff. I don't really have a spreadsheet to share with you. It's a little too rough around the edges right now. And I thought I had more like appropriations requests come in that were higher than what they have been, but I guess it's mostly been verbal. We haven't actually received them yet, except for a handful. And the ones we have received are higher than last year. And we know that some organizations are looking into petitions to increase their allocation. So that's a trend we're observing. I did in the work I did on the spreadsheet today, plugged in the health insurance costs for next year, and they're up, let's see, they are up 12.8%. So, yeah, so that's going to affect everything. I don't know if VEMR's rates are going to be increasing. And I have not had a chance to process the VLCT passive insurance coverage figures yet into the budget, but everything's going up.
And there's talk of the school budget going up, what, 18%?
For what?
Because they don't have ARPA money anymore, and we've got to make up for it.
Well, it's also
They
stuff
just-
that's changed at the state level. the
Yeah.
way-
State level, they said that
The way they're
property
doing
taxes go.
pupil
Yeah,
stuff that was.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen again. Let's see here.
just a smell and crossbones.
Yeah. You're really making our night, Val.
Right?
So here's a snapshot from my report with the upcoming meeting dates. So here we are, December 4th. And I think by the end of the week, I will have a functional spreadsheet, and I will make excerpts of that and give that out to the department heads with current figures so that department heads can begin working on their numbers. As I mentioned in my notes, given the situation we're in with the lack of a treasurer and Chris and Sharon doing the best they can, naturally there are going to be some numbers that are out of whack, and we need to figure out why they're out of whack. Maybe they didn't get coded correctly or something. So there's going to be some of that to navigate.
This is gonna be a nightmare.
So which of those are all,
All
yeah.
the dates are gonna be.
That's all the days.
If we're sticking to Monday.
Which ones are regular select board meetings and which ones are budget only?
Well, that's a good question. So the December meetings are regular. We were planning to meet there anyway. We added the one for tonight so that we had this extra space to talk about all of these other things. In January, the regular one is January 8th and the 22nd. Those would be regular meetings. All the other ones would be extras.
Two.
Two,
Two
yeah, by
others.
the 29th, we have to vote it.
Right.
So we really only have one extra. Really.
Because we're not meeting on the 15th, are we?
I
Yeah.
assume we are.
I'm willing to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
We
the
meet
only-
every year on Martin Luther
No, I know we
King.
do.
That's the only, I mean, that's all the Mondays, there's no more.
Right.
If we
can't
don't
break
get it
more.
there, we gotta be
Right.
on
Go
some
get my
other
bus
day.
schedule.
Well, Martin Luther is a new holiday for the employees that came about last year. Actually, in January of this year. It was
But
added.
We've always met that day.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I
Right.
thought we kind of said last year or year before, one year we met on a day and we said, if it's a holiday for you and the employees, then we're not gonna meet. I thought that's what we kind of had an agreement that we
Yeah,
wouldn't.
well,
And that ain't gonna happen in January.
I think we like to say that, and then we say, we have to meet.
the reality is that
Or
we
we
Yeah.
meet on Tuesday.
Unless you wanna do it on a Saturday or something or other, and that's not my choice.
I just don't,
Yeah.
you know, the problem is I don't wanna be here till midnight talking
Mhm.
budget stuff, because after about 9 o'clock, I start to lose interest.
Right.
And I don't think I'm the only one.
No.
So we'll just give Joel 10 minutes per item that he can discuss.
How many items? 300 and something items? Yeah.
What
We need
about,
a couple more
what about,
Mondays.
Ian, I know it's hard for you, but what about,
We can do early. We can do
Six.
six.
let's start at 6 o'clock
Yeah, we did that last year.
on budget meetings.
Yeah, that's what we did, exactly. You asked for the same
'Cause-
thing.
Yeah, well, that's only gonna be the 15th
No, I know.
then.
15th and the
January
29th,
15th
yeah.
And the 29th. I mean, we'd really, if you wanted to start at 6, we could just do budget from 6 to 7
You're right, on all those.
and then have regular,
It's not enough time.
I know, but
It's
it's
not
not
enough time, but
something.
it's a
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
It only gets us into like, I think you need the longer where you can sort of go through.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with starting at 6.
Starting in January or December?
You can do December.
I think yeah.
Well, those are regular meetings though. Are we gonna have a department head in at 6 o'clock where the public could or
Well, our
could not?
hearings are scheduled
Yeah,
for
Robert
7,
Williams,
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Correct.
So whatever we do between
6 and 7.
6 and 7,
Which is,
and I have to agree with Ian that I don't think that we wanna get into a budget talk and have to break for
yeah,
unless we can rearrange our schedule and keep our hearings
Or,
still for 7 and do our regular business up until then, and then do budget after the hearings.
Mhm.
and
That's
then the
reasonable.
15th and the 29th is strictly, when I say the word strictly, I mean it, budget.
Mhm.
No, well, Sharon's got a couple of things she'd like us to pass, like the APs and the bills to things and some other stuff. No, it's strictly budget. Tonight is a meeting, it's full, wasn't supposed to be a meeting.
And when we're talking budget, I presume we're also talking about town meeting preparations and the warning, because they're somewhat related.
I was
Yes,
gonna say that call comes with the
Yeah.
budget.
Hey. Oh, sorry, dog, cat, interact. Sorry. Not you guys, dogs and cats at my house.
Can we, so for those meetings, can we forego the,
Department heads.
yeah.
Department heads, yeah.
Give them
Just
January
put
off,
it
give them
on
December.
pause For December.
if it's budget only, that's budget only.
Yeah, but I mean, there's
Even the
there's
regular
only,
meetings,
there's
so-
only a couple of budget only. You know, not that they take a large amount of time, but try to pare down as much as we can.
Mhm,
I
Sure.
mean,
I'm fine with
If
taking
we're
it.
doing their budget that day, maybe they can give a
That's right.
brief,
Yeah.
and then we get into our budget.
Because then we could move on and just bring them back in February.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We wanted to change that anyway, where it was sort of like they were staggered a bit more, so I think it would be okay.
Do we need to pick up another meeting in December?
We don't have any more.
Don't have
We've
any.
got one on the
25th, you wanna
27th,
do
just
Christmas
for,
Oh,
Day?
okay.
Christmas
I mean,
Day.
sure.
27th, just for the
Warning.
warrant.
We can bring our gifts in here in December as we meet and cry.
I'm not meeting on Christmas, you can do it.
No, you
No, I
can.
know. It seems like there should be one more, but it's not. It just falls right.
Yeah,
on.
I don't see us getting through everything.
I mean, we
11th,
didn't,
18th, 25th, and 31st, those are
yeah.
The
the
Mondays.
Mondays.
We
Well,
don't
there's
have to
also
meet,
January 1st, but that's a holiday, and I don't think we want to do that.
we don't have to meet on a Monday to do budget. People aren't,
That's true.
I mean,
Right?
Jimmy will be here. He's faithful, but
Hopefully he'll zoom in when it's 10 feet of snow.
I thought we met on the
Zoom
first
is
one
really
day,
good.
1 year. Didn't we meet last year on the first?
No, well, the first would have been a Sunday, wouldn't it, last year?
I don't know.
For some reason, I thought we met on the first because everybody said, well.
No, because
if I'm
I was-
hungover,
I
it's
was
gonna be
out.
Monday.
We met on the
It's gonna
30th.
be that
We met on the
morning.
30th.
Yeah, it wasn't last year.
No, sorry, hang on. That was, we met on 19th, so we met. And then we met
Last year
on,
would have been the
then
second.
we met on the 9th, and then we met on the
Yeah,
30th.
'cause
I
made my
suppose
first-
as we get closer into those January dates, we can evaluate whether we need more other nights. And
I mean, we tend to always need as much time as possible, and the fact that we're
I-
treasurer.
I have an extremely busy December and January, so
Yeah.
if we're gonna meet on a different night, I need to rearrange my schedule now.
Mhm. And Planning Commission and DRB meet Tuesday nights. Generally.
You're killing me.
The budget's gonna kill you.
That's already killing me. Actually, it's scaring me.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at I just don't see it happening in those 6 Mondays.
Yeah. Would you meet on Monday and then
Like a Wednesday,
on a Wednesday, the
Like
same weekday,
the 10th?
same week rather?
Yeah.
like the 8th and the 10th? Or the 15th
When
and the
does the
7th?
fire department meet? What Wednesday?
The first Wednesday.
Well,
So they
no,
would be on the
because
third
January's annual meeting, so
It'll be
it's
13th.
the 13th, but I have other fire meetings in January.
Bigger is Saturdays, bad for you?
Saturdays would,
If we threw in, like, not an all-dayer, but, 9 to 2, 9 to 1.
yeah, something, yeah,
Yeah.
that would,
Mhm.
I mean, and that we
There
could
goes the
do,
weekend.
that we
That would
could do further down the road.
Okay.
Yeah, that would work.
You mean like the 6th further down
6th,
the road?
20th,
Or the 13th, or the
13th.
20th?
Yep.
13th to the 20th.
Yeah, because
Just give him a little lead time, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
he's got to
Can't be the
schedule something.
13th if you got your annual meeting.
Well, that's not until evening. I'm saying,
Yeah,
not an all-day,
not an all-day event like it used to be.
big as axe.
So looking at your TA report, Val, it seems like, or somewhere I read it, we might actually have the 2022 numbers on it.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
hope to get them this week.
Huzzah!
I know.
We know what we can, what we were supposed to have last year, this
Right,
year.
right.
And then, when would we get the 2023? Can we actually
We're
have
only
that?
just starting that, just this week.
Next year.
You're gonna have that in June of next year.
Isn't the whole idea is that we have the 2023 now, right now, so that we can create this budget?
I always thought we were close to having it in the past, because I don't ever remember it being a whole year behind.
I always thought we had it
Me
like that
either.
last week of January, we knew where to put some
Yeah.
appropriations.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the whole idea, is that you'd have I've forgotten the name of
The
it.
current undesignated fund balance,
not-
it's not that
it's not-
anymore.
You can't
but
call it that.
Right.
No.
I can,
Yeah.
I can call it what I
You know-
want.
Valerie, would it be helpful? I mean, right now, if we ask whoever's down the hallway, can give us the information that said,
Unassigned.
okay, you ended up the end of the year, June 30th, with, highway had $5,000 budget surplus, rec had $1,000 negative, whatever, and I'm just throwing out some numbers.
Mhm.
Could we at least say, you know what, we could project what we have, then the audit was pretty close to what we said in July, the
Mhm.
first week of July of last year.
Yeah, we can estimate, we can do the math.
Yep.
It's pretty simple math. It just depends on
Anthony always said,
where
"Well,
the
I wanna do
auditors
this."
think things are supposed to go.
Right.
But
So-
if we got X amount of dollars left over from our funds, that's,
Right,
I mean,
right.
even if they juggle them around, we should still have the same money.
right, it's
Right.
simple math.
Yeah.
And we've done that before.
Unprojected
we
in
did that
July of
before,
last year, matched what, almost matched dollar to dollar what we thought, yeah, the funds are different, but the amount is the same.
Right.
Then that would help us.
Can we sit Mark on the auditors?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
What did Michelle say?
Can we stick Mark on the auditors?
There you go.
He
Well,
knows
just-
them, he's worked with them.
Well, reflecting back, we changed auditors around the same time we changed treasurers. So two new entities trying to figure each other out and figure out where things were and how to do things. And so that's one of the things that contributed to the delay.
All
And
right.
then the auditor people had their own internal transitions. Some people left and new people came on. And so, yeah, things chugged along fairly slowly.
Can I ask that we have everything as live documents?
Yep.
And not do send files?
Yep.
I think we're getting better at that.
Yep.
Okay,
I didn't share that with you this time because it's still a little too rough around the edges.
yeah, no, that's fine. And is that, and every department will get a live document that they can work on? Okay,
Yep.
good.
And Valerie, you do send that to both my emails, right?
Yes, I do.
Because when you click on some of those things, I click on it and it just goes blank on my screen at work. It just says.
Oh, at work, yeah, you're blocked probably. Yeah. Or you could just go to the website. Most of those things are on the
Numbers at work
website.
are Good.
Oh, firewall just won't let me open it up.
Yeah. Are you able to download things from a website?
No, I can't even get on the website here. No. I can with my iPad because I've got my personal email on my iPad.
Oh, I see.
I can't even.
Yeah.
Okay,
Next.
Are we ready
So-
to?
Yeah, we're
Are we
not
done with
gonna,
that?
it's, the schedule is gonna be flexible,
yeah.
is pretty much what I got out of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're gonna start at 6, is that right?
We're gonna do what?
Are we
Start
starting at 6 from here on out?
Yes, yes.
Till the February meeting,
Till budget's done.
till budget's done.
Okay.
Starting with our next meeting, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds
That's what I
good.
wrote down. I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure I had it right. All right, moving on. And I think this one's been tabled. Review.
Correct.
Okay. Review and potentially approve of approval of revised Bristol revolving loan application materials. And we're going to wait till next meeting for that.
Yes, please.
And number 6, review and approval of the November 13, 2023 and June 27, 2022 meeting minutes.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the November 13th, 2023 minutes with whatever changes we've had. I haven't gotten the chance to look at it.
Actually, you did, yeah, you did send me the changes for November 13th.
Right, I said, but I haven't looked at June 27th.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that.
Yeah, those went out this morning.
I just started with.
Second.
Second, yeah,
Thank you.
sorry.
Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
So that was just November 13th?
Yeah,
Okay.
And then authorize accounts payable warrant and any liquor or tobacco licenses.
You bet those.
the warrant is $48,616.33.
Down from 2 million,
Oh, I thought.
because we're out of money.
Yay. And then other business. We had several things under other business.
Right, the errors and omissions report.
Mhm.
You can't skip the other business.
I can't skip to other business. What did I lose?
Oh,
Some other things.
Well, I mean, you just
Oh, select
out
board
of
roundtable.
order.
oh,
Yeah,
there
sorry.
you go.
sorry. I was trying to make sure I didn't forget those other business things.
Yeah, I know,
Did we do
but that's
select
on the
board?
other side of my paper, so
Okay.
I'm all confused.
See, I depend on you, Peeker. So
He has something under
select board
select board roundtable.
No, I
roundtable.
don't know.
Let's start with Peeker. He's so
Nothing at this time.
okay. Joel.
I have nothing at this time, what I've chatted with Eric about. Just a couple of branches on the tree. That's all I mentioned, Eric.
Ian.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, and Michelle, you're not on my screen,
I'm
but I know
good.
you're there. Okay,
I'm
I
good.
don't have anything either.
Wow.
So now,
All that giving you grief for nothing.
no other business. So we'll start with errors and
You missed
omissions.
town
What do we-
administrator's report.
You missed town administrators.
Jeez, I did. All right, town administrators report. There it is, number 9.
I'm
I'm
good.
You're
bound to
rusty.
get other business in there.
I have nothing to add.
Now you're okay.
Oh, it's other business.
You've checked all the boxes, Darla.
I am actually checking them off as I go along. I'm just checking them off too early. So errors and omissions. What do we need to know, Valerie?
Well, hopefully folks had a chance to see that online or through my report link. It's 4 pages long. Different properties are involved. It's hard to summarize, but
Make a motion to approve.
Sorry.
Yeah, we can't really change it.
No.
No.
Right.
I
All
did
those in
mention-
favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Go ahead, Jolie.
I did have mentioned to Mark, I said, what we used to do when I was in Lister's office, we just kept a whole list of them and put them in the last week of December. I said, you guys have put these in for like the last 5 weeks or 5 meetings, 3 meetings. I said, we used to just keep a list and do 1 page of errors and omissions. They all have to be done by December 31st. He goes, oh, that's a great idea. Said, as soon as they come up, Patty said, he goes, that's a great idea. We'll just keep a list.
oh, good.
All right. So now we have a grant application from Bruce.
Yeah.
Who is hung in there with us.
Radio.
Second.
Who motioned?
Michelle.
Okay.
We
This
should
is-
probably tell them what it's for though, so they know what we're like approving a grant for.
Right.
So this is the 4th time we've applied, or we're applying for the, to replace the mobile radios in our vehicles that are outdated.
So,
It's Homeland Security. It's leftover 2021 money.
but is the fire department also applying for this grant? Does that not work in our favor, work in our favor?
I think it all matters on who applies for what
Okay,
and what's there for money. I don't remember exactly what's there for money, but.
okay.
Listen,
I-
if we don't get it this round, we're going to apply again. We'll continue to apply. We need to replace those radios and it's like $40,000, so.
Okay,
This is
Squeaky wheel.
2021 money and the new round is out shortly after this, so.
okay.
So if you don't get in this round, Bruce, do you have to apply again for the new round?
Yeah,
Yes,
So
we
you-
have to,
So we
we
may
have to
see
do.
this again.
and there'll
Absolutely.
probably be leftover money from 2022, so. I mean, it takes them forever to get
He's gonna
caught
keep
up.
applying, I guess those darn radios.
Well, we haven't got the string in the can out yet, but almost.
Right, it's getting close.
We're getting close to that.
Alright, we've had a
Okay.
motion and a second.
Okay. Motion a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you, Bruce. Thanks for
Thank
hanging
you.
in
Good
there.
luck, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Fourth time's a charm.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Don't jinx him.
And lastly, we have the personnel policy.
Right, just if the select board concurs that the 4-hour Christmas Eve holiday would be taken on Friday.
I
I'm
don't.
sorry, I don't.
I don't. Sorry.
I'm just saying, we give them half a day on December 24th, when December 24th lands on a work
And
day.
we give them the Friday after Thanksgiving off, which is not a holiday.
I mean, I don't get it at my office.
I might take it.
Yeah, well, if I were to take Friday off, I'd have to take
Vacation time.
What's our policy say?
Says a half a day on the 24th. They can leave at noon on the 24th.
They can leave at noon on Sunday then.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll give them all day. Well, I shouldn't say that because it'll probably snow.
Right. I was
And
gonna
they
say-
don't have the
Listen,
time off
our police
anyway.
officers can't leave at noon on Sunday. They still have to work.
That's right.
That works. Hey, did you get the vehicle down there last Wednesday? I forgot to check up with you. But you and Jared connected, Bruce?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
Then we have to go with our policy. It's on the 24th, it's on a day that you're
Does
working.
it say the 24th?
I'm trying to call it up right now.
I think it might say.
I think it says the day after.
Christmas
before
Eve or the
Christmas.
day before
It
Christmas?
says December 24th.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not the 24th.
Right, yep.
I mean, we,
Stop second guessing yourself.
no, we
Okay.
gotta follow our
Yeah,
policies.
that's what the policy says. And it doesn't
Right,
say
it doesn't
anything about
say the
leaving
day
it on
before
another
Christmas.
time.
Right.
If it falls on a different day, it is what it is.
Next
Let me-
They
year,
got vacation time, they can take a half a day.
take a whole day if they want, vacation.
Such hard butts.
So let me just to make sure we're all on the same page. So that was section 22. Hang on.
Michelle, do you see this?
You see this one? The list of holidays?
Yes, pretty
Yep.
small.
Yeah.
You get all those, don't you, Bruce?
And President's Day and Indigenous Peoples' Day were added.
What do you do?
Yeah. It was a
Okay.
thumb, right? It was
Yes, it was.
Very good.
not that I would expect anything else, but. Right, and we added 2 holidays this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the conclusion? Just so I'm clear.
No,
So no on Friday. Okay.
no,
Yeah,
It's the 22nd, not the 24th.
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
she was closed on Friday anyway, so
Yeah.
it won't mean nothing to her.
Right. All right, do we have anything for executive session?
Yes, please.
Okay. Michelle, do-
Primarily personnel. I don't think we have any really.
I do have one real estate negotiation thing.
Okay.
You're making the motion.
Yeah, I know. I make a motion that we enter executive session to discuss personnel matters and real estate contract negotiations per 1 VSA section 313.
second.
Right.
All right,
Thank you for coming.
Adios, guys.
thank
Good
you.
night,
Thank you,
Timmy.
Jim.
Thank you.
Night.
Believe me. Let it go, let them do their own thing. Don't keep yourself involved.
Well, I can't stop this, I can stop the recording.
No, don't stop it, you'll kill everybody.
No, I'm gonna stop the recording, there we go.